Translating expressions. Well, just like when you travel to another country and sometimes you have to translate from one language to another. For example, this is Spanish and it says me gusto matemáticas, which means I like math. In math, sometimes you're asked to translate expressions from word form to number form or number form to word form. So before we begin, let's just do a quick review of what an expression is. So here are 4 examples on this page. An expression is one or more numbers and variables joined by one or more operations. So in this first example, we have a variable and a number, and they're joined by one operation, addition. And then in this example here, we have one variable and one number joined by subtraction. You'll notice I don't have any equal signs here. These are not equations, they're expressions. Here's a couple more examples, and you might say, well, I see the number and I see the variable, but I don't see an operation on this one. Well, remember, when you have a number right next to a variable, that's multiplication. So those are joined by multiplication. And the same in the next one. Our variable is x, and we have an exponent 2, which is the same as x times x. So those are also joined by multiplication. Now, just to give you a couple more examples of expressions, 5 plus 3 has no variables, but that's an expression. Or I could alter that somewhat. This would also be an expression, 3 times 5 plus 3 minus 7. So it's one or more numbers and one or more operations, which joins them together. Maybe one more example here. 5x plus 6 would be an expression, and we're going to work with those today and do some translating. Now, just like when you go to another country and it's helpful to have a guidebook, a dictionary with some of the language to help you speak the language. Here are some math terms, and these are just a few, to help us translate expressions. So these terms here indicate addition. These are generally used for subtraction. And then here are just a few for multiplication and for division. And we're going to be using those to translate in this video. So the easiest way to do this is to actually just do a few. So we're going to translate some expressions from word form to number form. And in this first example, it says 7 more than a number. So 7 more than a number. And we're going to use W as our variable. 7 more than a number. That's how you would translate that from words into numbers. 8 decreased by a number. So there's 8 decreased by a number. Twice a number increased by 2. So twice a number increased by 2. I could also write this, if I wanted, like that. Let's do a couple more. The product of a number and 4. Well, when I see the word product, I know it's multiplication. So the product of a number and 4. You could write this a variety of ways. The product of, and I can use any variable I want. I'm going to use m. The product of a number and 4. I could write it like that. I could write it like this. I could even write it like this. The product of a number and 4. Next one. A number decreased by 6. A number, I'm going to use the letter T to represent a number, decreased by 6. A number decreased by 6. Okay. 3 times a number increased by 9. Well, I see times, so 3 times a number. 3 times a number, I'm going to use the variable s. 3 times a number increased by 9. Now the next one you could write a couple different ways. Half of a number decreased by 2. Half of a number decreased by 2. So half of a number I could write like this. I'm going to use m to represent a number. That's half of a number. Decreased by 2. Decreased by 2. I could also write that, I could write half of a number this way. This would also be half of a number. So here we have a half of a number being divided by 2. So half of a number decreased by 2. So there are two different ways you could translate that expression. Now sometimes you're asked to go from number form into word form, and we're going to use some of the words from that previous page. The first one says m plus 5. There's a couple different ways I could write this. I'm going to write this as a number increased by 5. I could have also written the sum of a number in 5 would have been fine. The sum of a number in 5. Okay, the next one, m minus 17. I'm going to do a number decreased by 17. Our next example, we have 3m minus 4. So I'm going to translate that into words. I'm going to do 3 times a number. 3 times a number decreased by 4. And in our last example, we have 2m plus 7. So I could say twice a number, 2 times a number, the product of a number and 2. I'm going to do twice a number increased by 7. So there are a variety of ways I could have written these. For example, that last one I could have said the sum of twice a number plus 7. There's a couple different ways you could do it. But that's essentially how you translate expressions from word form to number form and number form to word form.